and you are incapable of registering or reacting to the hazards of the road. There was no evidence that this driver hit his brakes or tried any other preventive measures as he veered off the road, and it was a long drop into the river that stopped his limo for him. As frightening as auto behavior syndrome is, it gets worse. A fatigued driver is also in danger of taking a momentary nap, what is commonly called a microsleep episode. Most drivers have experienced microsleeps, which last a minimum of 5 seconds. Seconds when the driver is actually dead asleep. As you fall asleep, it takes 4 to 5 seconds for your neck muscles to relax, and then even more time as your head drops forward and your airway begins to close. In 5 or 6 seconds at 60 miles an hour, your limo can travel over 440 feet, more than the length of a football field. When cruise control is engaged, the vehicle won't even slow down as you begin to nap, which creates a much more dangerous situation. You will usually have no warning before a microsleep episode, and often the only thing that snaps you out of it is your head falling forward onto your chest, or the impact of a crash. To best prevent falling asleep at the wheel, you must constantly check yourself for indications that your body is tired. Fatigue symptoms are often similar to intoxication, and you must be alert to the warning signals. While driving, be alert for drowsiness, frequent yawning, loss of concentration and attention, slowed responses, slowed decision-making, loss of memory, and frequent mistakes. If your mind wanders, if you can't remember driving the last few miles, if you start to weave between lanes, tailgate, or hit the rumble strips on the side of the road, these are danger signals you cannot afford to ignore. Chronic lateness, aggressiveness, frequent bad moods or behavior can also be more subtle signs of fatigue. Any of these warning signs is one warning too many, and you have to take action or you will become a casualty of fatigue. Before you get behind the wheel, never drink alcohol and avoid smoking and medications that can make you drowsy. Don't eat a large meal if you won't have time to digest it. Stay away from foods that can make you sleepy, such as milk, cottage cheese, bread, rice, peanuts, turkey, figs, dates, tuna, and soy products. These foods contain L-tryptophan, an essential amino acid that actually helps induce sleep. You should try to take a nap before you drive, especially if you've already been awake for more than 12 hours before the start of a shift. A nap of 20 to 30 minutes can effectively energize you for several hours, although a series of naps will never replace a good period of sleep. Points to remember. If you've been awake for 8 or more hours before you begin working, you could become dangerously fatigued towards the end of an 8-hour shift. Performance levels drop at 13 hours awake. At 17 hours, your ability to function is equal to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.05. At 23 hours awake, you are functioning at the equivalent of a legally drunk 0.08 blood alcohol level. Fatigue causes auto behavior syndrome, where your brain shuts down and you are incapable of reacting to hazards of the road. When you experience a microsleep episode, you actually fall asleep, without warning, for 5 or more seconds. Constantly check yourself for fatigue warning signs, frequent yawning, loss of concentration and attention, slowed responses, loss of memory, frequent mistakes, weaving, tailgating, hitting the rumble strips are some of the danger signals. Before you drive, avoid alcohol, smoking, and medications, large meals, and foods that contain L-tryptophan, which can make you drowsy. Try to take a 20 to 30-minute nap before you drive, which can energize you for several hours. While sleep is really the only preventive measure against driver fatigue, when you are on the road, there are some immediate steps you can take to temporarily combat the effects of fatigue. We realize that cruise control can be a big help to drivers, but make no mistake. cruise control can kill you. Cruise control is involved in a large number of fatal crashes on the nation's highways. If you disengage cruise control, the mere fact that you have to manually tend to the speed of your vehicle could help keep you from being lulled to sleep from inactivity. Keep the driver's area of your limo well ventilated and relatively bright at night. Opening a window, keeping the air conditioning on, keeping a light on if it doesn't impair your outside vision, can all help you be more alert. Listen to talk radio rather than music so that your thoughts stay engaged and active. Do some simple isometric exercises in which just pushing against something, like pressing the sides of the steering wheel together, or pushing against your forehead with the palm of your hand, pressing your hands together, or doing shoulder shrugs, will increase the blood pressure and flow of blood in the body and can help you stay awake. Chew spearmint or peppermint type gum. Not only will the physical activity of chewing help you, but those types of smells are like aromatherapy, which can help you get some energy as well. Drink beverages that contain caffeine. About 30 minutes after ingesting 1 or 2 cups, coffee, tea, or colas can provide your system with enough caffeine stimulation to boost your energy level for up to 3 or 4 hours. But caffeine drinks come at a cost. If you take in too much caffeine, your much-needed sleep will not be as restful. When you're on the road and in trouble, the best thing you can do is find a safe place to pull over. Get out and get some fresh air. Walk around your limo. Stretch your legs. Exercise your arms. Take some deep breaths. Just this brief activity will normally give you 20 to 30 minutes of alertness. Do whatever it takes to help reduce fatigue symptoms. A brief review of ways to combat fatigue while on the road. Disengage cruise control to help keep you active behind the wheel. Keep the driver's area of the limo well ventilated and bright. Listen to talk radio. Do simple isometric exercises. Chew spearmint or peppermint type gum. Drink 1 or 2 cups of coffee, tea, or soda that contains caffeine to boost energy levels for 3 or 4 hours. But time yourself so you are not consuming too much caffeine just before you are to sleep. The best thing you can do to combat fatigue while on the road is to find a safe place to pull over. Then get out and do some physical activity to give you 20 to 30 minutes of alertness. If you are going to successfully prevent fatigue from limiting your ability to function as a safe professional driver, you must accept personal responsibility for getting adequate rest. The first thing you can do is work with your supervisor to assure that you are driving schedules where you can get enough sleep. You need to have enough time and notice on your schedule so that you can sleep properly before a trip, and rest stops built in so you can get any needed rest or sleep. Work with your dispatcher to try and avoid a schedule where your sleep patterns are frequently being interrupted from shifting day and night sleep. You are going to become sleep deprived under these conditions because you won't have any consistency to when and where you are sleeping. With our internal clocks trying to take charge, it is virtually impossible to prepare for or maintain a schedule like this without becoming fatigued. It's also important to avoid several days of night driving in a row. It's much more difficult to sleep properly during the day, and you will end up staying awake for longer hours before going on duty. Try to avoid a shift in which you have had several days off with regular nighttime sleep, and then your first day back on the job is a night shift. You could be awake for as much as 20 hours before beginning to drive. A shift that starts between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., or one that starts in the very early morning hours, will have you on duty when your body is telling you that you should be asleep. If you have irregular shift start times, your body may have difficulty coping with the constant disruption this causes to the normal rhythms of the sleep cycles, and could again cause you to be awake for long hours before driving. Keep in mind that any combination of schedules in which driving occurs after 16 hours of sustained wakefulness is a high-risk schedule. Schedules that have extended mid-shift breaks or split shifts in which you start early and finish late will create a fatigue problem. These shifts may be legal, but they are not safe, especially if you are not napping in between drive times. With any of these schedules, you are becoming sleep deprived, and you are accumulating sleep debt. If your work week has 2 non-consecutive days off, you should try to change your schedule to have your 2 days off together. Sleep debt is cumulative, and you will need 2 consecutive days and 2 good nights of sleep to fully recover. But because you are a professional driver, you won't always be able to avoid these types of schedules, and you and your family must be committed to managing your off-duty time and your sleep time so that you report to work thoroughly refreshed and rested. Make a plan and involve your household so that everyone knows how important it is for you to get good quality sleep. The cooperation of your family is vital to your safety on the road. The human body is a fragile machine, and if it's not carefully maintained, it will never operate to full capacity. So eat a balanced diet, avoiding foods that are rich in fat and empty calories. Maintain a proper weight and exercise for a minimum of 20 minutes at least 3 times a week. This regimen will also help to improve your mental well-being. If you must sleep during the day, try to stick to a regular sleep schedule. Allow at least 3 hours between any exercise and your bedtime. Avoid large meals before sleeping. Avoid caffeine because the effects can keep your body stimulated for several hours. Avoid alcohol because even though it may make you feel sleepy, alcohol deprives your body of deep rest, and you'll end up sleeping in fragments. Take time to unwind and relax before sleeping, with a book and soothing music rather than TV to keep your mind from becoming too stimulated. Keep your room dark, quiet, and cool to simulate a nighttime environment. Points to remember. Work with your supervisor to assure that you are driving schedules where you can get enough sleep. Avoid schedules where your sleep patterns are frequently being interrupted from shifting day and night sleep. Avoid several days of night driving in a row. After having several days off with normal nighttime sleep, avoid a night shift as your drive time on your first day back to work. Shifts with start times between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. will have you driving when your biological clock wants you to be asleep. Any shift where you have been awake for more than 16 hours is very high risk, and even though they may be legal, they are not safe. Try to have at least 2 consecutive days off to help recover from any sleep debt you may have accumulated. Involve your family in planning your off-duty time so that you will always report to work rested and refreshed. Eat a balanced diet, maintain a proper weight, and exercise a minimum of 20 minutes at least 3 times a week. If you must sleep during the day, stick to a regular sleep schedule, relax before sleeping, and keep your room dark, quiet, and cool. The only safe driver is an alert, well-rested driver. You can't overcome sleep with willpower because your body needs to sleep. Sleepiness and fatigue are serious threats to safety, and lives can be drastically changed or lost in a matter of seconds. Sleep is the only way to combat fatigue. By understanding the process and recognizing the danger signs, you will take a major step toward making the roads a safer place for everyone. For more information on the nature and importance of sleep and the dangers of fatigue, please log on to the following websites: www.sleepfoundation.org